Okay, so today we're going to be making a Graphire 3, which is a Wacom or Wacom drawing tablet, work properly. So I've had this Graphire 3 tablet for a long time now. I bought it many years ago for like $10 on eBay. It was one of the first things I bought on eBay, and it wasn't a lot of money even back then. But it's never really worked properly. It's always been stuck at pretty darn near full pressure all the time. And I never really figured it out, and I kind of just put it on a shelf and didn't worry about it. But recently I realized that the way these work is they have this tip, and it goes in here. I think this thing is just for power. It's like a coil, like wireless charging. But this tip goes in here and it pushes down on a little membrane in here that adjusts the, it changes resistance depending on how hard it's pushing, which allows it to detect pressure, and these membranes are permanently stuck down. So I pulled the pen apart. I damaged it slightly in the process. This coil fell off. I tried reassembling these membranes, but that didn't go well at all. So what we're going to do is just replace these membranes with a button, which will mean it'll only have 2 levels of pressure sensitivity, on and off, but that's fine because I don't do any art with these. I just use them in OneNote for homework, or that's what I want to do with it. I want to be able to use it in OneNote for homework. So that's our goal for today. It's really not a big deal. I could always buy a new one. They're not that expensive. Not a Wacom tablet, of course, but like there's actually off-brand ones available now for like $20. That might even be better for what I'm doing because they're more modern and smaller. You know, but my random... I chose this one because it was the exact model that my elementary school art teacher had, and it was cheap. That was the 2 criteria used when choosing this. We're actually just going to cut this off first to make it easier to desolder. Means I need my snips, which I don't know where they are. Okay, actually, so here you can get a better sense of how it works. So there's a contact in there and a contact in there, and the membrane would, like, squish between the 2 contacts, and I would assume bring the, I don't know, maybe it only had 2 levels, originally, but I think these were supposed to have pressure sensitivity. I don't know much about this. Again, criteria was it was what my elementary school art teacher had, so I, like, recognized it and knew that it was supposed to be somewhat decent. I really wish I had my snips because these aren't really the ideal tool for the job. But they're doing it. There we go. Should I rip off the pad? Shoot. I think I took off a pad. Odd because this isn't like normally how it looks like when a pad is gone, but I think I ripped off a pad. want to find where that piece went. Is it? Yep, totally ripped off the pad. The pad's totally on the bottom of that piece. That's not what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do was cut, not like cut along here to leave the soldered pieces so I could desolder them, but so I could disconnect them. And then what I was going to do was I was going to mount this pretty much just like this, but with this one outer one bent inwards towards there, towards the pad that's now gone. Then I was going to remount the coil like that. And then I was maybe even just going to use the coil as a tip. Or we could put the tip like this and see how that worked. Still save the other end. Windows, one end's supposed to be an eraser and one end's supposed to be a writer, but Windows 10 doesn't see any difference between the two, so I could just save the other end. I mean, I could try to like scrape off near that trace. It's already peeling on its own near that trace, I think. Scrape off the solder mask, but that's really small and I don't think that's gonna go well. And actually, I just looked over there and here are my snips. So, let's try this again. Hopefully it goes better this time. Here's all of the components of the membrane. There we go. I think I disconnected it. The two parts. Which means I should just be able There we go. Had enough thermal mass that when I dropped it, it melted to my solder. There's the other pin off. So now we have the two pads. And you can't see it because it's out of focus, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's just the Essential phone is terrible at keeping focus. And I bend it into a better position, and I broke one of the solder joints. I did test that shorting these out does work properly. I shorted them out with a screwdriver. So I'm pretty confident that this button should be a reasonable solution. Yeah. That's the button. Then something like this goes there. We just need to get it more or less reassembled in a somewhat logical manner. You see, it won't fit properly because I'm using like the wrong side of the board or whatever. It's like keyed almost. I don't know how they keyed it almost. But you can see this section fits down in there. And this section, which seems similarly narrow, it's just widest in the middle, does not. And this was true even before I put the switch on. So actually the switch might be part of my problem because it is pretty big, but I don't think it's my whole issue here. I half want to 3D print a case, but then I half think that that's going to be a terrible idea. So, what I think we are instead going to do is just quickly make sure everything works properly. We are going to go ahead and get this nib, melt down the end a tiny bit so it like stays in. And then maybe we will 3D print something. I kind of want to melt down the end of this nib. So that way it stays in place like this. And can, like within this coil. I don't know, I'm gonna go with like 250 to try and melt it. See, it's melting, but it's like sticking to the soldering iron. It's not melting in the way I want. So I have a little bit of a lip, but not much. Maybe we'll try like gluing on or melting on a 3D printed part. 3D printed lip. Because I don't want to risk melting it down too much further and then it gets too short. Actually, that lip's enough that it doesn't push in. So we'll just put it in from behind, and now you see it doesn't come out. It doesn't just drop out. It actually fits in properly. So when we make a 3D printed case, we can have it have a thing to hold this coil and still be able to push up the nub. So now I'm going to go test this, which means I'm going to pause the video, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so now here we are at my desk. I need to open up something, probably just a blank OneNote document. So we have a blank OneNote document on the screen. It's moving around my cursor. There you can see it moving. So that works. I don't have enough hands, and the switch just fell off. Rather comically. So I'm actually going to need to go solder that back on and probably not film this. Because I don't have enough hands. So we're just going to be done for now, and I'll come back when I actually have everything working. Okay, so I resoldered the button and I reinforced it with some hot glue so it shouldn't fall off in 2 seconds this time. And everything is working now. So if I can move this around. And where's my cursor? There it is. You can see my cursor moving. And then if I go and I press the button while I'm moving it around, you can see that I draw. When I release the button, I stop drawing. You know, this it isn't super ergonomic right now because it's not in a pen, but I mean, it's marginally better than a mouse, maybe. But hopefully once I get it in a case, it'll all work. And then I won't need to buy a new drawing tablet. Because I don't use it a lot, and I don't do anything that important with it. Yeah. Okay. So if you have an old Wacom tablet where you can't buy replacement pens, then you could always do this to your pen. And then, I don't know, maybe if I actually do design a halfway decent 3D printed case, I'll upload it to Thingiverse if anyone cares. And maybe I'll put the link if I remember. Anyways, that's all. Bye.